This video will talk about the agency problem and control of the corporation. We've seen that the financial manager acts in the best interests of the stockholders by taking actions that increase the value of the stock. However, in large corporations, ownership can be spread over a huge number of stockholders. This dispersion of ownership arguably means that management effectively controls the firm. In this case, will management necessarily act in the best interests of the stockholders? Put another way, might not management pursue its own goals at the stockholders' expense? We will consider some of the arguments relating to this question. Now we talk about corporate governance. Corporate governance varies quite a bit around the world. For example, in most countries other than the United States and the United Kingdom, publicly traded companies are usually controlled by one or more large shareholders. Moreover, in countries with limited shareholder protection, when compared to countries with strong shareholder protection like the United States and the United Kingdom, large shareholders may have a greater opportunity to take advantage of minority shareholders. Research shows that a country's investor protection framework is important to understanding a firm's cash holdings and dividend payouts. Studies find that shareholders do not highly value cash holdings of firms in countries with low investor protection when compared to firms in the United States, where investor protection is high. In the basic corporate governance setup, the shareholders elect the board of directors, who, in turn, appoint the top corporate managers, such as the CEO. The CEO is usually a member of the board of directors. One aspect of corporate governance that has received attention recently concerns the chair of a firm's board of directors. In a large number of U.S. corporations, the CEO and the board chair are the same person. An argument can be made that combining the CEO and board chair positions can contribute to poor corporate governance. When comparing corporate governance in the United States and the United Kingdom, an edge is often given to the United Kingdom, partly because more than 90% of UK companies are chaired by outside directors rather than the CEO. Moving to the agency problems. The relationship between stockholders and management is called an agency relationship. Such a relationship exists whenever someone, the principal, hires another, the agent, to represent his or her interests. For example, you might hire someone, an agent, to sell a car that you own while you are away at school. In all such relationships, there is a possibility of a conflict of interest between the principal and the agent. Such a conflict is called an agency problem. Suppose you hire someone to sell your car and you agree to pay that person a flat fee when he or she sells the car. The agent's incentive in this case is to make the sale, not necessarily to get you the best price. If you offer a commission of, say, 10% of the sales price instead of a flat fee, then this problem might not exist. This example illustrates that the way in which an agent is compensated is one factor that affects agency problems. To see how management and stockholder interests might differ, imagine that a firm is considering a new investment. The new investment is expected to favorably impact the share value, but it is also a relatively risky venture. The owners of the firm will wish to take the investment because the stock value will rise. But management may not, because there is the possibility that things will turn out badly and management jobs will be lost. If management does not take the investment, then the stockholders may lose a valuable opportunity. This is one example of an agency cost. More generally, the term agency costs refers to the costs of the conflict of interest between stockholders and management. These costs can be indirect or direct. An indirect agency cost is a lost opportunity, such as the one we have just described. Direct agency costs come in two forms. The first type is a corporate expenditure that benefits management but costs the stockholders. Perhaps the purchase of a luxurious and unneeded corporate jet would fall under this heading. The second type of direct agency cost is an expense that arises from the need to monitor management actions. Paying outside auditors to assess the accuracy of financial statement information is one example. It is sometimes argued that, left to themselves, managers would tend to maximize the amount of resources over which they have control or, more generally, corporate power or wealth. This goal could lead to an overemphasis on corporate size or growth. For example, cases in which management is accused of overpaying to buy another company to increase the size of the business or to demonstrate corporate power are not uncommon. Obviously, if overpayment does take place, such a purchase does not benefit the stockholders of the purchasing company. Our discussion indicates that management may tend to overemphasize organizational survival to protect job security. Also, management may dislike outside interference. So independence and corporate self-sufficiency may be important goals. Let's discuss the question, do managers act in the stockholders' interests? Whether managers will, in fact, act in the best interests of stockholders depends on two factors. First, how closely are management goals aligned with stockholder goals? This question relates, at least in part, to the way managers are compensated. Second, can managers be replaced if they do not pursue stockholder goals? This issue relates to control of the firm. As we will discuss, there are a number of reasons to think that, even in the largest firms, management has a significant incentive to act in the interests of stockholders. First is managerial compensation. Management will frequently have a significant economic incentive to increase share value for two reasons. First, managerial compensation, particularly at the top, is usually tied to financial performance in general and often to share value in particular. For example, managers are frequently given the option to buy stock at a bargain price. The more the stock is worth, the more valuable is this option. In fact, options are often used to motivate employees of all types. Although there are many critics of the high level of CEO compensation, from the stockholder's point of view, sensitivity of compensation to firm performance is more important. The second incentive managers have relates to job prospects. Better performers within the firm will tend to get promoted. More generally, managers who are successful in pursuing stockholder goals will be in greater demand in the labor market and command higher salaries. In fact, managers who are successful in pursuing stockholder goals can reap enormous rewards. Second is the control of the firm. Control of the firm ultimately rests with stockholders. They elect the board of directors, who, in turn, hire and fire management. An important mechanism by which unhappy stockholders can replace existing management is called a proxy fight. A proxy is the authority to vote someone else's stock. A proxy fight develops when a group solicits proxies in order to replace the existing board and thereby replace existing management. Another way that management can be replaced is by takeover. Firms that are poorly managed are more attractive as acquisitions than well-managed firms because a greater profit potential exists. Avoiding a takeover by another firm gives management another incentive to act in the stockholders' interests. Unhappy prominent shareholders can suggest different business strategies to a firm's top management. To conclude, the available theory and evidence are consistent with the view that stockholders control the firm and that stockholder wealth maximization is the relevant goal of the corporation. Even so, there will undoubtedly be times when management goals are pursued at the expense of the stockholders, at least temporarily.